We're back with more of our interview with Vice President JD Vance. We've already reflected on his family life, past and present, but it's impossible to ignore the fact that he now holds one of the most important titles in the world. So how does he respond to that pressure? And what does he see in his political future? There's so much to talk about with this administration. You know, you could argue that already you have been the vice president for the most consequential administration in American history. So give people a little bit of insight to how it is to work with President Donald Trump. What's been the most surprising part of being his vice president for you?
Oh, there's so many surprising things. I mean, I would say the most surprising thing, because obviously the president and I were close before I became the nominee, but the campaign was actually more parallel tracks. And I was doing my thing and he was doing his thing. And that's the nature of the beast, right? Because if he's going to be at a fundraiser, why not have me at a different fundraiser as opposed to the same one? Or if I'm going to speak to a crowd in Michigan, he's going to be speaking to a crowd in Wisconsin, right? You divide and conquer. And so even though we were doing this together, it felt a little bit more like parallel tracks. And so one thing I've learned just working with him like every day is he doesn't have an off switch. Like sometimes the president will call you at 12:30 or at 2 in the morning, and then he'll call you at 6 in the morning about a totally different topic. It's like, Mr. President, did you go to sleep last night? Like, what is going on here? And, you know, he says that's been one surprise. I think the second, I don't know if I'd call it a surprise, but certainly something that I've learned is a little bit related to what I said earlier. He really does empower his people to do things. Right, and that's you know, the vice president's the weirdest role in the government because the president's clearly defined, the cabinet secretaries are clearly defined, you know, House and Senate members. The vice president is very much at the discretion of the president. Like if the president wants to empower the vice president, then he can do that. If the president wants to like not talk to the vice president at all, he could do that. And what the president, what's made this so much fun is the president all the time is just saying, JD, you go and do this, or JD, you go and talk to these leaders about this particular issue, or oh, you really care about this? No, you can do it. I'm not. You don't have to have me looking over you all the time. And there is this trust, and you see it with the president and Secretary Rubio. You see it with the president, Susie Wiles, with Steve Witkoff, our special envoy, who's done such a good job. Is he's very willing to say, this is what I want done. You go and do it. Report back or ask me for help if you need it. But that ability to delegate and trust his people has been really amazing. And the last thing I'd say, it's not so much a surprise about the president, but certainly maybe a surprise about the administration as a whole, is, you know, the first administration, what the president says is he had some people around him he just didn't trust, right? And he had never done this before. Like he had never even, I mean, it's the first person who had never served in the military or been a previous politician. He just completely came from this super successful business career into the president of the United States. And the second administration, we just trust each other. And I think that it's made us so effective and so cohesive because we just are able to divide and conquer a little bit when you actually trust the team and obviously trust the man in charge.
Everyone's talking already about the midterms.
Sure.
Give me your take on the Democrats, where we are overall with the midterms, and as we head towards 2028, some of the people that the Democrats have potentially floated, yeah, we got to laugh at it, Mr. Vice President, as, you know, potential nominees for Democrats running for president. What do you think?
Well, I don't think much of the modern Democratic Party. Obviously, I'm biased, but I look at these guys. I think some of them are trying to actually mimic President Trump. You can't mimic his style. He just is who he is. I think a lot of them obviously have very bad records. So I don't think that much about the Democrats who people say are going to run in 2028. And I'm sure they're going to be people completely from out of the blue. So my attitude is let's focus on the job that we've got, and the politics will take care of itself. You know, 2026, I'll give you good news, bad news, right? I think the good news is we've accomplished a lot. The president's approval numbers are very strong. People are happy with what Republicans are doing. I mean, we inherited a mess, the largest peacetime debt in the history of the United States of America, a real inflation crisis, of course, the wide open southern border. We've done a lot in 7 months, but look, there's a lot of additional work to do. That's one of the reasons why we have these 4-year terms, is to do as much as we possibly can. That's the good news. And I think the American people reward you politically when you run on something and you actually do that something. Now, here's the bad news, Laura. The bad news is, you know, a great political mind, one of the president's pollsters once told me that anger usually wins midterm elections. And because we've done so much what we said that we were going to do, our people aren't angry. They look at the president, they look at the administration, and they're happy with what we're doing. Meanwhile, you've got like the far left fanatics who, I mean, the president's political genius is he's encouraged the far left now to come out in defense of violent crime in our big cities. But say what you will about them, they're very angry right now, and they're very motivated. And so I would encourage all Republicans and everybody, whether you're Republican, Democrat, or Independent, who thinks that we're doing a good job, you got to remember to get out there and vote in 2026. Yes, it's, people say it's not as important as a presidential election, but it is very, very important. And if you want to give the government over to people who are defending murderers on the streets of D.C., then don't vote. But if you actually want to continue to secure the southern border and combat this inflation problem, you've got to get that out there and vote and give us that ability to continue accomplishing great things for the American people. But that's the thing, is I worry a little bit too much. We're resting on our laurels, not the president, not the administration, but a lot of Republicans we're happy with what's going on. We got to remember that if we want to stay happy, we got to get out there and vote in the midterms in 2026.
As the former co-chair of the RNC, I appreciate that message, and I will agree with that message wholeheartedly. Final question for you. You know, it's so great to see that on the Republican side of the aisle, we seem to have great people. We have a deep bench.
We do.
We have awesome people who could, at any moment, run for president.
Yeah.
At the top of the list for 2028, you know what I'm going to ask you, Mr. Vice President, is the name JD Vance. A lot of people think that you will be running for president in 2028. Can we expect that?
I just think that I don't like thinking about it because I like thinking about the job that I have right now. And if we do a good job in 2025 and 2026, then we can talk about the politics in 2027. But I really think the American people are so fed up with folks who are already running for the next job 7 months into the current one. There are a lot of great people. I think if I do end up running, it's not going to be given to me either on the Republican side or on the national side. So I'm just going to keep on working hard. I think this is the most important job that I've ever had. It may be the most important job I ever have outside of being a father to those 3 beautiful kids. So I'm going to try to do my best job. And I think if I do that, the politics will figure itself out.
Want even more Fox News on YouTube? Become a Fox News Patriot today. Click join to find out how.